tell me, do you think that you're a body or a soul? Now with myself, if you'd asked me that question some years ago, I wouldn't have known what you were talking about because I did not know of the existence of my soul. It would just have been some concept, oh really? Well, there's a soul? Well, that's nice. But I had no feeling of a soul. All I knew was my human mind, which would go yapping away, and had no thought that was another entity, and that my human mind would be responsible for trying how to figure out everything that was coming its way, how to live and how not to live, and what to reason and what not to reason. I looked at my human mind as my entity, my complete entity. And this went on for years, until somewhere around the age of 40, all of a sudden, I'm taken out of my body. And my body is not present because I saw where my body was. And I am now in a different state of mind. This was when I was 40. And if I say to you that, yet what was the existence, what was the format of my soul? If I said that to you, that wasn't at 40. That would come when I was up around 53. Because at that point, I then met God, and I saw myself in an entirely different state of mind. So what I'm saying is that the soul is a different entity than your human head and your human mind. And let me describe what the soul is, and maybe you're also going to want to find out, oh yeah, well if that's so, well, how do you get there? Or what do you do with that? Well, you see whether or not you like it. I'm going to describe to you the existence of my soul and what it experiences. My soul, at any time when I ever experienced it, was always at peace. Always didn't have anything else but peace. I remember times when I'm out of my body and I see my body lying there where it was, and here I am outside of it, and you would think that I'm going to say, oh boy, hold it, stop everything, time out, something's going wrong, my body's over there and I'm over here. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. When I'm in that state and I can see that I'm separate from my body at that point, I'm absolutely separate from it, my soul doesn't give a hoot that has happened. Doesn't give a hoot. Doesn't care. It has, in some way, no relationship even to that body. And I remember being disinterested in the fact there was my body lying in a bed and my soul is somewhere with me attached and somebody is over here looking at the body, and I don't care. Nothing affects it that way. In fact, I lost interest in what was over there. And I'm absolutely and totally at peace. At times, God appeared. I'm in my soul state. God appears. I'm again out of the body. God appears. And you would think my reaction is going to be, oh boy, oh, now you're in for it. You have not been a sweetheart all your life, and here is God, here it comes. You would think that kind of a reaction. Absolutely not. My soul was absolutely, completely, totally at peace, with a sense of belonging, that it's right where it's supposed to be, and there's God, and I have no feelings about God except I belong. I feel no sense of criticism when I'm in the soul state. The soul doesn't know any of this, and neither does God, I think, know any of this either. But there is my soul totally at peace with the presence of God. Very, very different from the human mind. I mean, test yourself, folks, when you think of this. If you start thinking of God, do you wonder what God thinks of you? Your soul doesn't think that. Doesn't think it. Has no thoughts about that at all. It's absolutely and totally at peace. It's natural, God's presence, and it is so different from that human mind that would be worried. Or do you remember the story out of Scripture when Isaiah, the great prophet, one of the three great prophets of Israel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, are the three major prophets. Isaiah comes before God. He's obviously taken out, and he's there. And what's Isaiah's first reaction? Oh boy, I'm before my Maker with unclean lips. And God knows how to handle this. And God sends an angel over to him with a burning coal, and the angel touches Isaiah's lips. And now, only at this point does God say, who shall I send? It's obvious he's looking for a prophet who's going to be able to bring the messages back to earth from God. And who raises his hand at that point? Now, he just a minute ago had said, oh, I'm before my Maker with unclean lips. He ain't in good shape. At that point, the angel touches his lips with the burning coal. Only at that point does God now say, who shall I send? And who raises his hand? Isaiah, send me. That's the soul, send me. Soul's not worried about it. Not worried about coming back to earth, not worrying about anything at all, not worrying about representing God. What am I? Send me. That intimacy, that closeness that the soul feels with God. I mean, it's a head scratcher. How can you feel that kind of thing? You're right, it's a head scratcher. That you can't feel it in the human state. And I can't convince you either that this is so. And it's not my job to do it. It's the job of God to set you up, to feel your soul, because the soul is the real you. Or you can say, well, maybe there's two yous. Well, if you want it that way, there's two yous, that's fine. But you get a choice. Either you're going to want to go with your soul, you're going to want to go with your human state. So you got a choice to be able to make. So it doesn't make any difference if you say there's two yous or there aren't two uses or whatever. It doesn't make any difference. Your soul has a state of peace. And now think of it. Look, if you were God and you were going to now make the souls of all your children, okay? You're now the great God. And I'm now going to make Joe. Yeah, the minute I think Joe exists at that point. Now, what's God going to make? An aggravated Joe or a peaceful Joe? Now, it's going to determine in your mind, when you think of this issue, what your opinion of God is. And if you think that God can be an aggravated God or an angry God or a savage God or a displeased Job, you're going to think that he would make a Joe that is, the soul is as aggravated as God is. Because what we do is the way we think of ourselves, we think that that's the way God thinks of us. In fact, the way we think of ourselves is the way we think people see us. So, with the soul, it's going to depend on what you feel about yourself. If you're at peace with yourself, you're going to realize that God would make a soul just like himself, made in the image and likeness of God. God is love. The very fact that he wants to make you is a God of love. I don't want to just sit here and just talk to myself. I'm going to create beings that can have the love and the peace and the joy and all the beauty of what heaven is like. I'm going to make that. And so that's what the soul is going to be, and that's what I experience when I'm in that soul state. A loving God who makes a being that is absolutely total at peace. Notice something else. Although my body isn't there, I have a consciousness. That's important because you start to worry about, well, if I'm a soul, maybe that means I'm a nothing and I'm just a piece of fluff floating around in heaven. No, not that at all. There is a consciousness when you're not attached to the body. There is a beingness that's there, except it's just totally at peace. And you can have that peace in this world whenever you feel like it. But maybe that's what we're going to talk about next. How do you get that soul awareness and that peace? That'll be the next topic.